in the end, the oak for me is a little bit distracting, but good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. And tonight I continue with a little bit of a short series. I think in the end it's going to be 4 bourbons that I will be tasting, nosing and giving my thoughts on it as a Scotch drinker, or maybe now an international drinker. I do like the international whiskies as well. So tonight we're looking at the Ridgemont Reserve 1792. Quite an interesting bottle. I love the shape of it. I like the color of it, and I like the idea of getting a bourbon that is not overly expensive. So this one, of course, it is a bourbon, and the 1792 with a little bit of digging refers to the Kentucky being added as a state, bottled at a 46.85% ABV, 1792 Barton Distillery. It is matured in new charred white American oak, and quite an old whiskey, well, in US standards, 8-year-old, and of course with a mash bill of some corn, rye and barley. I did a little bit of digging, but I did not find credible information to tell me exactly the ratio between the corn, the rye and the barley. So on the nose, cheers. That is absolutely, for me, it's fantastic. It's got a lovely sweetness to it. I get a little bit of a orange peel on it, a little bit of that oiliness, richness of it. I also get a hint of a peach note coming through. I then get the caramels, vanillas, some nice dark brown sugar, and now I get a hint of a cinnamon. Now last night when I did a little bit of research on it, and I poured myself a small dram of it, I did not get the cinnamon, but today I do get a hint of that cinnamon coming out. And you get a nice cooling effect on the nose. That a little bit of a spearmint coming out. Probably just from the alcohol. But it's a really nice cooling effect. I enjoy it. So on the nose wise, I do like sweet whiskies, or the sweeter type of whiskies. Yeah, in Europe, I always tend to go for the Pedro Jimenez, the Oloroso Sherry Cask, the sweeter and lighter whiskies. So for me, quite a nice light sweet nose, but not really overly complex, but it is just nice on the nose. Color wise, also a nice dark amber color. But of course we need to taste it as well. So on the taste, cheers. Definitely the first thing that I do get is that corn and rye influence. That little bit of a spicy sting on it. And when you get past that, you are left with this nice light fruity flavors coming out. Let me just give it one more. So the fruity flavors are definitely there. The caramel, but it's a little bit of a burnt caramel. So there's definitely some oak spice coming out. A little bit of a bitterness coming out. And quite bitter in the end. And it feels like that bitterness is building up. And I think with 6 years on the oak, it's a little bit much for me as well. So let me just give it one more. Definitely that oakiness is building up. So every sip that I take is a little bit more oak, a little bit more oak. And I think that gets, well, I hope it stops at some stage. But I still get that sweetness. I still get that a little bit of a burnt caramel note to it. But when it stops in that, Very strange. There's nothing else that I can pick up on this one. So there is the sweetness, a little bit of a fruitiness in the end, a hint of that cinnamon for me, but it quickly disappears into something that just reflects quite a lot of the oak tannins that comes out of the wood. So it also reminds me a little bit of a marmalade, that you get that sweetness, you get a little bit of that fruity orange flavors coming out, and then afterwards you hit with that bitter notes, quite similar to that. So on the nose, if you would give me this glass and tell me to guess the ABV, I would suggest maximum 43% ABV. So it is quite soft on the nose. So for me, if I look at the nose and I compare that with the taste, I think the nose is quite a winner for me, but I was a little bit disappointed in the taste. A little bit too oaky, a little bit too spicy for me. So in the end, the oak for me is a little bit distracting. It distracts from that lovely sweetness. The promise of the sweetness in the nose does not move into the taste for me. It feels a little bit watered down for me as well, but it's still nice. I think there's something that I definitely can get used to. Let me just give it one more try. Definitely something that I can get used to. That spiciness, I think if you give it enough time between sips, then of course that oakiness will be a little bit less. But be aware, if you want to try it, be aware that it is a little bit oaky. If you're not into oaky whiskies or bitter whiskies, or whiskies that got a little bit of a high tannins out of it, then maybe this one is definitely not for you. So if I think about the finish, so it starts off with a nice sweetness, and I get that spicy from the corn and the rye. Then there's a little bit of that fruity notes coming out, maybe a little bit of a toffee note, that burnt caramel toffee type of note coming out. And then I get that sweet bitter notes, and then in the end it just leaves me with a little bit of a bitter note in the end. And quite a short to medium finish. So not going to add water to this one. I think it feels a little bit watered down already. So definitely if you want to add some water, there is some room between the 40 and the 46% ABV. So you can add maybe 1 or 2 drops of water to see if it does make a difference. In the end, but the nose is nice. That fresh, strong vanilla nose coming out. I do like it. A little bit disappointing on the taste. So that's me. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, all my subscribers, it's creeping up, almost 560 subscribers. So thank you very much for those people that have subscribed. Please, if you come this far, remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel to go towards the 1000 subscribers. So thank you very much, and I see you next time. Cheers.